also need to ensure that industries, SMEs have access to power, as long as the honorables are done. The last question came from distinguished Senator Alero. Sir, you did state that from 1999 to date, trillions of naira have been spent without much result. It's a pain and concern to us. And to Mr. President, when I met with him after my nomination, I asked him to pray for me. I wish you were there that night so that you could have added your own grace to the prayer. I asked him to pray for me. And he said, Tigbe, I have prayed for you before giving you this job. This is a very daunting task. But I'm not going to do it alone. Since 1999, trillions have been invested. This hallowed house, assembly, this chamber, we're going to come to you with difficult decisions. Your constituents will run to you. Please tell them to bear with us. There may be small pain, but we'll get there. Because we are going to have a disciplined approach to addressing this. I'll come and present to you what our plan is. We clear milestones. If you don't see this in 3 months, it means you won't see 6 months. So you must see the 3 months, and you must hold us accountable for it. When we put those things together in the next 1 or 2 weeks, we'll come to you and present them to you. So we will put a stop to that leakage, to that bleeding, and all the challenges that we have. Market reflective tariffs. We advise government to charge market reflective tariff. When we get there, the industry has to be mature enough. Because power is an essential commodity. You must take into consideration the social responsibility that the country has, the federal government has. So the vulnerable has to be protected. People that can afford to pay, who need it, rather than using generators. Rather than the guys who are buying generators and spend even 3, 4 times. When you give them the right tariff, they will pay. And we'll do the same model. And I will remember what you said. And I'll come back and you can hold me responsible. But before you can charge market reflective tariffs, you have to build trust. We'll build that trust, we'll protect the vulnerable, and we'll ensure that whatever we're charging is sustainable. The last question I got from the Senate President, I know it was comment. 2 comments. The first one was on DSTV. Why not pay as you go in Nigeria? It's something we should bring to the attention of the regulator. If you remember, sometimes competition brings competitiveness. Okay? Telecom sector, when we started, Wille is here. He was in V-Mobile at that time. We were being charged fix-up until Glo came and Glo started pay as you go. The moment it started pay as you go, the industry changed. We'll look at that, and it's something that has to be seriously addressed. If you pay for 1 year and you lock up your house for 6 months, you come back and you've lost 6 months tariff. It doesn't seem fair. And it's something.
Because you mentioned telecommunications. That's actually where I came from before I entered politics. DSTV in South Africa, if you travel for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, your card will not run. Your money remains until you come and activate it. But in Nigeria, once you pay, if you travel for a week, 2 weeks, by the time you come back, it has run out. So they are charging you on a daily basis, even when it is not in use. Which chairman is in charge of communications? Where is he here? Is vice chairman here? He has gone to submit his form. But please, you need to invite DSTV. I just remembered it. And then the nominee will also mention, because he also he has been there, he has advised them, he has done a lot of work on that. Why should Nigeria be paying for DSTV that they are not using? The same way that we are paying for power that we are not using. You go to communities, their transformer has stopped working 1 year ago, but the people are still getting bills on a monthly basis. The same way you are not using DSTV, you have traveled for holiday with your families. By the time you come back, everything had been consumed. But it doesn't happen in South Africa, where they came from. So these are things, I don't know how you advise them. Listen to me. You were the consultant to telecommunication. So I don't know how you advise them that they will continue to rob Nigeria and cheat Nigeria, and then you are here before us. So when you are answering, just a consultant. Then also, from my point of view sorry, one Senate. From my point of view, your resume is so rich towards fiscal policies. Extremely rich towards fiscal policies. KPMG, that, everything. Are you actually sure that you were recommended for power? You can answer.
Thank you very much. Very distinguished President of the Senate and distinguished senators. The first question was from very distinguished Senator Mohamed Mogono. And the question, first of all, comments were raised around ascertaining that power is relevant to industrialization. And with industrialization, we can then ensure economic growth and ensure both food security and even security of the lives of our people. You asked specifically for me to comment on the Greek collapse and the adequacy of transmission or lack of adequacy of transmission of what Gencos is producing, an adequate handshake between Gencos and Discos. And you also touch on vandalization of power transmission infrastructure in the Northeast by bandits. Let me comment as follows, and I'll tell you, you're very factual. One of the problems we have today that is triggered inadequate power supply is grid collapse. Today, built installed capacity in the country, which is grid connected, and this excludes captive and embedded power, is 13,625 megawatts. We barely generate about 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts. And even when we produce that, as our third quarter of 2025, was specifically 4,179 megawatts. But even these 4,179 megawatts don't get to the hand of consumers. Even when the discos transmit and bill, they don't even collect all the money from the end customer. So it's a myriad and paradox of issues. Why are we in that situation? Transmission is a major bottleneck. We're struggling to wheel even 5,000 megawatts true, due to instability in the grid and due to aging infrastructures that we have. Sometimes, grid collapses are due to overloaded and aging transmission lines, which we need to fix. Gas supply is a major one. We have this installed capacity, but we can't even generate them because we don't have, the pricing of gas is a challenge. Today, because of the war in Iran and the impact of all those things, the gas prices are out of the roof. So if you really want to transmit exact cost directly, it's a big of a challenge. The last is the distribution inefficiency. But what will I do differently? We will need to stabilize the grid. And there's work being done on that. It's a short-term thing that we need to quickly do. We need to enforce strict grid discipline and ensure real-time system management across. We need to also improve frequency control and spinning reserve in our grid. It's not rocket science. They've done it in other places. We just need that discipline to do it. The liquidity issue, which I also touch on, and our commercial model, we need to look at, because there are discussions around liquidity of the sector, there are discussions around tariffs. I will touch on that, but we must champion market-reflective tariffs. But in doing that, let's be careful. Anywhere in the world, we must protect our vulnerables. Poor people must have light. Poor people don't have 5 air conditions, 10 air conditions in their houses. They just need the light. In telecom sector, which we have all accepted, has been successful. Interventions are done in rural areas. And sometimes you incentivize telecoms company to go to those rural areas to provide services, in addition to giving them lucrative markets. Those are the kind of things we need to do to ensure we address this issue of grid collapse. Grid collapse is not an accident. It's just a symptom of a weak system. And we need to fix that weak system quickly and fast. The last question was on vandalization. I'll tell you, power assets, just like telecommunication assets, are national assets. And there are provisions and penalties to addressing vandalization of such national assets. But at this point, what I will say, and I'm being factual, I'd like to say it the way it is. I will not promise what I will not do. I will work with the NSA and service chiefs to address this issue, because this is a national security issue. It's not only in Bono, it's everywhere. Vandalization of national assets must attract punitive steps, and we must have clear ways of protecting our national assets.
That one you have answered. That is a national security issue.
Yes.
Go to the other issues.
The second question is from distinguished Senator Abamoro, my godfather of many years, from Benue South. You asked about liquidity crisis in the sector. I will tell you, and I've been frank, it's a myriad of many issues that are reflected in the liquidity issues that we have. Today, Gencos can't even pay adequately for their gas supply, because also there are shortfalls. Today, we have an estimated almost 6 trillion debt in the sector. Government has done very well. I have DG of PPE here. I have special advisor to the president on power here. A lot of work has been done to even settle 3.3 trillion through bond. You know, when an industry is struggling under 3.3 trillion, is a lot of pressure. We have an idea of what the challenges are. Even the discourse, when we say we have metering gap, it means you can't put meter everywhere, even though power is going there. So you are not collecting enough money. When you collect, some of them are not even paid. Today, MDAs are owing some of the discourse. So all those myriad of issues are legacy issues. What will I do differently? I do agree, and I'm touching on what distinguished Senator Ojikalu said. We will need to move over time to cost-reflective tariffs, but with targeted protection, because we must protect our vulnerable. Whatever we are doing must be responsible and socially balanced. It's extremely important, because telecoms, power is more sensitive than even telecoms. Let me go to question 3. The question 3 is from distinguished Senator Adetokunbo Abiru, my very dear friend and colleague over many years from Southwest. Thanks for commending my qualifications. You know, we did some of these things together in the past. And you asked me, there is need to put timeline. I definitely have timelines to some of these things, but I didn't want to bore the Halo chamber with the details of timelines. I have first 100 days, what we can achieve. First 3 to 6 months, what we can achieve. First, because Mr. President didn't assign me this role because he wants us to sleep for the next 5 years to solve power problem. My promise to Nigeria and to this Halo chamber is that Nigerians will see visible improvement in this sector. And those visible improvements will bring it to the fore. We'll tell you what they are. I'm consulting, and I will consult with people in the next 1-2 weeks. I have ideas. I've been inundated with documents and reports. But we need to ensure that those things are pragmatic and practical. But let me share with you, in the next 100 days, for me, in the next 100 days, we need to, first of all, we need to do a rapid diagnostic. That will signal seriousness. I'm not talking about 6 months diagnostic, I'm talking about 2 weeks diagnostics. There are people in this room that are going to be part of that team. And, you know, one of the logs I have is that some of the people that are working with me, Larry Babalola is Special Advisor on Power. Larry has once been Minister of Power in this country. We're going to work together to fix this problem. Ayo Bileyi, DGPP, he has a lot of experience in infrastructure. We're all going to work together as a team to ensure that the 1 trillion economy dream ambition of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is realized. So first thing is rapid diagnostics. That will signal seriousness to Nigerians. Also, we need to establish transparency baseline. We need to tell our people the truth. Even when the truth is difficult, tell them the truth. So we'll conduct independent sector diagnostics. We need to entrench transparency in our public performance dashboard. I'm going to work in the next 2 weeks to sit down and ensure there's adequate collaboration between the ministry, NERC, TCN, and relevant stakeholders. There are gaps everywhere. We need to fix those gaps. And then one thing that is critical is seamless coordination. People have advocated for gas and power to be under one ministry, but we can collaborate. We both report to one principal, who is the President of Nigeria. So collaboration between my ministry and Ministry of Petroleum on the issue of gas supply.